Today we will be doing section 2.1, simplifying algebraic expressions. Let's go ahead and start with vocabulary. We have the word terms. Terms means constants, variables, or both, separated by addition or subtraction. So for example, if we were to have 3x plus 2y squared minus 5, these have three terms. So that is what we mean by terms. Let's go ahead and go to number 2, coefficient. The coefficient is constant in each term, is usually in front of the variable. And I'll do an example for this as well. So for example, if we were to have 3x plus 2y squared, our coefficient would be the 3 in front of the x, the 2 in front of the y squared, and our 5, our negative 5. Let's go to number 3, variable. A variable is
Mallory in here.
A variable is a letter that represents an unknown number. So letter that represents an unknown number. So for instance, whenever we do algebra, we usually see an x that represents a number, and we're trying to find out what that number is, or solve for x. So we might see an x, or we might see y, or any other letter as what we're seeing below. Those are our variables. Let's go to number 4, like terms. Like terms means same variables. Oops, let me switch that to blue. Same variables. Or sometimes it's just a variable, so we'll put that S in parentheses, and same exponents. We'll do some examples as well. So some examples of like terms would be 2x and 3x. Notice how they both have an x. The coefficient can be different, but the variable needs to be the same. Maybe xy plus 5xy is another example. 3x squared plus 5x squared, those are also like terms. And also 4x squared y plus 3x squared y, those are also like terms. Number 5, distributive property. Let's go ahead and write that definition. Multiplying a number to each term inside the parentheses it is being multiplied to. So for example, if I were to have 3 parentheses x plus 4 equals, that would look like this. This 3 times x would look like 3 times x. Then we'd have plus, and then this 3 would be distributed over here to this 4, 3 times 4. And that looks like 3x plus 12. We just did the distributive property, and we'll be doing more practice with this later on in this chapter. Now let's go ahead and simplify like terms. Simplify by combining like terms. So we have 2x plus 3x plus 5 plus 2. Now notice we have like terms here, so we're going to go ahead and highlight those. We have 2x is like 3x, and then we have our 5 and our 2. So we're going to combine like terms. So let's go ahead and combine those like terms. So 2x plus 3x, we just add the 2 plus 3 is 5, and we bring down that x, and we bring down that plus 5 plus sign. 5 plus 2 is 7, so we have 5x plus 7. Then for b, let's go to b. Let's go ahead and highlight our like terms again. We have 5a and a, and then we have our -3 and +2. Let's go ahead and combine those like terms. -5a plus a gives us -4a. -3 plus a +2 gives us a -1. Letter C, 2 plus 3x squared. So let's, instead of reading it, I'm just going to go ahead and highlight the like terms. This term is like this term. And we have, notice we have this 3x. It doesn't have a square, so it can't be a like term with the x's we just put in green. So therefore we know that this 3x is on its own, and this -5 is on its own. Let's go ahead and make that a negative, highlight that negative right there. Okay, so now we can combine like terms. We have 2.3 plus 1.7 equals 4, and we bring down our x squared. Then we bring down that -3x and -5. You could bring it down in any order. I just brought it down in this order because that is the traditional order that we will be using in the future. For letter D, let's go ahead and highlight our like terms. What do you know? They're both alike. So let's go ahead and solve that. We have 1/2 plus 1b, so 1/2 plus, or -1/2, sorry, -1/2 plus 1 gives us 1/2, and we bring down our b. So our answer is 1/2 b. Let's go ahead and go to simplify using the distributive property. 3, so we're going to use the distributive property, so let's go ahead and distribute that 3. 3 goes to 2x. 3 times 2 is 6. Bring down that x. Good. And let's go ahead and distribute that 3 to the y. 3 times y is 3y. So your answer is 6x plus 3y. Letter B, let's distribute that -4. -4 times x is -4x. That -4 times -2y gives us plus 8y. -4 times +6 gives us -24. Let's go ahead and go to letter C. We're going to just do the same thing, distribute that 1/2. 1/2 of 6a is 3a. 1/2 of -2b. Well, 1/2 of -2 we know is 1, so we know that's going to be -1b. And then it wants to know 1/2 of -20. Well, 1/2 of -20 is -10. So we put -10. And notice we have 1b. We don't have to put the 1 right there, so I'm going to go ahead and erase that 1. And we're just going to put B, because there's already, if there's a B right there, we already know there's a 1. We don't need the 1 in front. Now we have 1/3 of 6A. Basically, 6 divided by 3 equals 2, so we have 2A. Then we distribute that that 1/3 to that -12. Now we have -12 divided by 3 is -4B. Distribute that 1/3. -20 divided by 3. Well, I don't want to solve that all the way down, but it's okay. We could just leave it as a fraction. That should work too. Let's go ahead and go to the next page. We have simplify each of the following expressions. So we're going to combine like terms again. Let's go ahead. We have 5x squared, -2x squared, and then we have our 3x, -8x, and then we have our +2 and -10. So let's go ahead and combine our like terms. Basically, 5 minus 2 is 3, so we have 3x squared, 3x, then -8x gives us -5x, +2 and -10 gives us -8. Letter B, let's combine our like terms. We have our 5x and our -2x. We have -3y and -2y. And then we see we have our +9. Let's go ahead and combine like terms here. Start with the green. 5 and -2 gives us 3x. And I have +9. We could bring down that +9. Again, doesn't have to be in any particular order. And then we have our y's. So we have -3y and -2y. So -3 plus a -2 gives us -5y. Next we have letter C. We have 3 and we have these parentheses. Let's be sure to distribute that 3 to the 2x. So 3 times 2, 6x. Distribute that 3 to the 1. 3 times 1 is 3. Now we bring down that plus sign again. We have 4, distribute to the x, 4x. 4 distributed to the -2, so 4 times -2 is -8. Now we have like terms again. So we have our 6x and our 4x. And then we have our 3 and -8. So 6x plus 4x is 10x. And +3 and -8, -5. Let's go to letter D. More distributing. Let's go ahead and do our distributive property. 3 times 2x is 6x. 3 times +1 is +3. We have our -4. So -4 times x is -4x. -4 times -2 is a +8. Let's combine like terms. And we have our 6x and -4x. And then we have our +3 and +8. Let's go ahead and combine like terms. 6x minus 4x leaves us with 2x. +3 plus 8 is +11. Letter E. 5 gets distributed. Because we have the parentheses, we know we have to do distribution before we do anything. 5 times y is 5y. 5 times 2x is 10x. 5 times -3 is -15. Now we see we have this negative sign. We have to distribute that negative because next to that negative is the 1. So we have to distribute that -1. So basically it's that negative times 2y makes that -2y. Negative times x is negative x. Negative times negative 10 is a positive 10. And then we bring down that plus 4. Pretty long. Now we combine like terms. So we just go along and combine. We know we have a 5y there, negative 2y. That's that. Let's go ahead and do 10x. So we have a positive 10x. And then we have a negative x. And then we have negative 15, positive 10, and positive 4. Let's go ahead and combine like terms. We have 5y and negative 2y equal 3y. 10x minus x is plus 9x. Negative 15 plus 10 is negative 5. Negative 5 plus 4 is negative 1. So our answer is 3y plus 9x minus 1. Let's go ahead and go to F. We have this 1/2. So 1/2 gets distributed to the 8. So 1/2 times 8. So 1/2 of 8 is 4x. And we do 1/2 of 10 is 5x, or I'm sorry, just 5. Then we do plus that 3x minus 2. So really it's like plus 3x, and then that plus 1, basically 1 times negative 2 gives us negative 2. We go ahead and combine like terms. So we see we have a 4x, positive 3x, and then I have a positive 5 and a negative 2. So I have 4x and 3x. 4x plus 3x is 7x. Positive 5 and negative 2 equal positive 3. Last is G. Let's distribute that 2 to the x. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 10y is 20y. 2 times negative 25, negative 50. Now we have this negative 15. Let's distribute that negative 15 times 1 over 5. Well, it's really negative 15 over 5. But we don't want negative 15 over 5. That's the same as 3. We would say because 15 divided by 5 is 3. So we're just going to put negative 3 for that one. And then negative 15 times y is negative 15y. So let's go ahead and combine like terms. We have 2x here. Oh, are there any other 2x? You know, this 3 right here, I forgot to put an x. So I'm going to go back and put my x. I thought I forgot something. There we go. So negative 3x. Let's go ahead and put our y's, identify our y's that are alike. So we have negative 15y here along with the 20y, and then we also have our negative 50, which is all by itself. Let's go ahead and combine. Let's combine like terms. So we have 2x and negative 3x, negative x, 20y, negative 15y, plus 5y, and we have negative 50. And that is our answer.